This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help filmmakers level up their businesses and their craft so they can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining this week's conversation. Taylor and I are always so thankful that you come along and listen to us weekly, or if you're binging our episodes, welcome. It's been so great to build this community together. I don't know if many of you guys know, but Taylor brought me on in January of this year, and it has just been such a fun year learning alongside you guys. And we always are so thankful for your kind words and time that you spend listening.
Yeah, definitely huge shout out to the people who are listening, people who are in our Facebook group, follow us on Instagram. We feel so blessed to have this community of very, very positive energy around us. I feel like everyone is so uplifting and encouraging and so nice. And thank you guys. We wouldn't continue doing this without you. So thank you. And today we're excited. We're just doing a little solo episode, no guest today. We're going to talk about something that has been circulating the wedding industry for this entirety of 2023 and has raised some maybe red flags, some alarms in some people. And I think that today we're getting kind of real to share that everyone is kind of in the same boat. And this actually was a topic brought up by somebody who actually, she took part in the pre-sale offer and will be in our luxury filmmaker mastermind that kicks off in June. And we're so happy to have her. But Kelley, you can take it.
Yeah, so Miranda wrote in on our Facebook group. Again, we have a really fun culture in our Facebook group. We really like to be very positive, like-minded filmmakers that, don't feel scared to post in a Facebook group. I think sometimes it can be intimidating. You don't know what kind of comments you're going to get on the other end. And so I love that those that are in our Facebook group have the confidence to kind of share where they're at, be real. And like I said, we're actually all in the same boat. So Miranda wrote in and said, I've been kind of hearing that this year is a bit of a lull. Are people experiencing the same things? And so we kind of wanted to share our personal take and what we've been hearing among the industry too for this 2023 season. And then also just give you some actionable strategy onto if this is feeling like a lull for you personally, how to pull yourself through this in a luxury way, and just really instill that, high-end front for your business, even though we may not have as full of a year as we would like. Taylor, I guess pinging this back to you, how is your year looking?
It's definitely lighter than what I would like to see. I set out for the year really wanting to hit 15 weddings, and I'm only at 8. So this is the week of, where are we? May 17th? Yeah, today's May 17th as we're recording this. And usually, honestly, I would be a little bit more booked out for the year. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay to embrace the reality of the situation sometimes. And I mean, I don't know. I'm in a unique position where my wedding income is not my family's primary source of income. My husband, has a job that is completely unaffected by the wedding industry. So I know that I may be unique in that way compared to some people who this is your main source of income and it pays your rent and your groceries and all these things. So we're going to come at it from a few different perspectives because Kelley, you and Paul do video full time.
Yeah. We've done video full time since 2011. I would say from 2011 to 2018, just weddings were our sole source of income. We hadn't diversified at that point. We have lots of different revenue streams now, partly because the pandemic forced us to. We came out with 3 different revenue streams through the course of the pandemic and beyond. But before then, there was a brief moment where Paul, he has his bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering. So he went and worked for a civil engineering firm for a year and a half, probably from like year 2015 to 2017. But other than that, yeah, it's just been us. So when a year feels light, it can feel hard to say like, oh, just like roll with it because you're like, okay, well, I got a mortgage, or maybe you have kids, or it can feel really heavy and stressful. But just looking for avenues to fill your calendar, look for ways to, maybe you're leaning more into second shooting. Second shooting isn't something that I generally do, but I have gotten a couple inquiries from filmmakers asking about second shooting. And I mean, right now, as it stands, May 17th, I don't have any weddings in August. So honestly, if someone asked me to second shoot in August, there's a high likelihood I might say yes, because, you know, I do want to stay sharp and fresh. I don't know about you, Taylor, but like we kind of start to like lose a little bit of our sharpness, or like being able to anticipate moments at live events. I remember that was the thing that I felt like I lost the most throughout the pandemic, was that anticipation factor.
I'm trying to like think. So I'm about to film my first wedding of the year in like 3 days. And I do have like a little bit of that like nervous like energy around me because I know that like you do kind of forget some things. But it is like riding a bike. Like once you're back on, like, and you get one or two under your belt, like you're really back into like a normal flow of things. But yeah, so I can totally relate because I feel that right now.
Yeah. So for Paul and I personally, we have 11 weddings as it stands right now. And next year, based on what I've been talking with people, like, yes, this year has felt light across the board. Next year for us is actually on a better trajectory. We have 4 for next year, I want to say. I need to like look back on our books, but 3 for June of next year for sure. And they're all looking good. I think that's the other thing too that keeps me hopeful and confident, is that a lot of the weddings that we have for next year they're like our ideal client. They're the ones that we want to go after. They're the destinations that we want to go for. And that just has come from like this year and the year previously of having that actionable strategy of like that road, knowing exactly where I want to go and where my core target is. So it's cool to see the fruits of our labor as far as how we've poured back into our business in that way, and seeing it all come to fruition in 2024. I've been saying to a lot of the people that you know, when we're launching our course or within our mastermind, it's like you're building the business that you want a year from now and beyond. Like you have to lay that groundwork in order to, you know, like I said, like get on that road and gain the traction and strategy to get to your core target. So right now we have 11 weddings. It's lighter than normal. We used to do 25. Like we used to cap it at 25. We were too cheap. We were booking it out way too early. But as we have raised our prices, we were kind of in this funny thing coming into this coming year. So in 2022, we were finding that we were in between markets. We were either booking weddings that were near the 20s and beyond, like 20 to 25, or we were, you know, getting these clients that were barely reaching for our 10 starting point at that time. And that just, you know, based on conversations that I have with wedding planners, they're like, it sounds like you need to like go back to the drawing board and like come up with a new marketing strategy. And, you know, also networking. You need to network more with, you know, maybe you're outgrowing your current network. And you have a little bit of some networking with those planners that are getting you those weddings in the 20s, 25. But leaning into those. So that's also something that like we've really heavily been pouring into as there's a little bit of a lull in this year.
Yeah, totally. So some questions that arise are like related to like, should I decrease my prices? Should I give people discounts? Like what should I be doing right now? And I think there's a lot of like deer in the headlight moments like kind of happening, like this like freeze because we're really unsure like what path to take. And so my answer to that is like there's absolutely no cookie cutter answer that's going to apply to everybody. So like if you're listening to someone who's giving you like an exact like answer, like take that with a grain of salt, please, because they do not know what your business, what your life looks like, nothing. Because my advice to you versus what I would do versus to this girl over here would be like completely different. So I feel like a lot of it is like diving deep down into like yourself and like what it looks like. Are you like me where like your income is very supplemental and like, yes, of course, like you have goals with like the financial benefits to running a business, but like it's not like I can't feed my family. You know what I mean? Or like, are you literally struggling? So like you're gonna have to do different things for each of those scenarios. If you're like me, because I do know like a lot of our listeners either they're not full time in this, they have another job, or they do have a spouse, or they're young and they live at home still. So there's not that like need for like a ton of income, although we all love having more money, but like you'll survive if you don't. I would say like treat this kind of like the year, like the COVID year, like really treat it to like embrace the time off and refine your businesses, refine your process. Do exactly what you said, Kelley. Like take a deep look at your networking, at your branding, at your messaging, like all of these things, and use that time off really, really wisely so you can step extremely strongly into 2024, where you wouldn't be able to if you had a full calendar, because all of your time and energy and resources would be into serving those clients. So kind of just like appreciate things for how they are and leverage that time really wisely. Dive into education. We've all bought courses that we've never even logged into. Like go log into those courses and like learn. So anyway, that would be my answer there. But maybe for somebody who relies very heavily on their wedding income, Kelley, what would you suggest they do during this down year?
Yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying, like looking for avenues where you can kind of, okay, so we had Daniel Shackelford. He is a really incredible filmmaker based in Tennessee. He does a ton of destination work, and his episode was all about second shooting. And the reason why he loves second shooting so much is because it pours back into what he loves. He's very much a people person, an extrovert. Like he thrives off of being around people, and he wants to stay busy in that way. But also, second shooting is a huge opportunity to learn. It's almost like education, but you're getting paid for it in a way if you take that approach. So second shooting for a variety of filmmakers, you're probably always going to take something away from that wedding that you can implement in your wedding day workflow now moving forward. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of going back to what I said, where, we also have a whole commercial side of our business, and we'll see what comes in over the summer in those commercial projects. But if things are also feeling light, like they are for weddings, then what we would do is I would probably look more into second shooting, or letting people know that I'm available for second shooting, or, where normally I would like gently turn down second shooting opportunities because we're just a little bit too busy always. I would probably like reflect back on maybe it's time to take people up on their offers and opportunities for second shooting.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a smart idea, and kind of serving some of these more like higher levels of the market. Like second shooting can be very lucrative, like especially when you bring in like a day rate kind of thing. So it's like you hire somebody for $1,800 and you get them all day. Like that's like $1,800 for a day of work. Like I think that's so great. Even if like you're only charging $100, like $800 for 8 hours of work, like that, like what other job can you just jump into and make $100 an hour? Like, you know what I mean? Like I think we don't see like the trees or the forest through the trees sometimes, like at how blessed we are to like be working in this industry that can be very lucrative if leveraged correctly. As far as like lowering prices, I would caution against lowering prices. Because that's gonna have like a huge ripple effect across the industry that I think like is a very short-sighted strategy. Where it's like living in the moment without thinking about next year kind of thing. Now I'm not going to say that like nobody should lower their prices, but I'm going to say like as a general rule of thumb, I hope that the wedding film industry doesn't take that approach, because I think it'll affect all of us pretty negatively. But there are maybe times where maybe an inquiry comes in like 4 weeks from now, and you're very confident that you would not get another inquiry on that date. And like, sure, like if you like just for that one client, like give them a deal, like to incentivize them to book, like I wouldn't say to not do that. Like I think that's perfectly acceptable. Kind of get like make the most of the inquiries that you are getting. What I would not do, I don't want to see anybody posting on their Instagram stories that they're like lowering prices or that they're running discounts. Like if you do take that approach. Like keep it an internal thing and like private and like in a one-on-one kind of like communication way, not publicly.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that because that was exactly where I was going to next. I think that we talk about this in the course, and it's this concept of an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And which mindset are you putting out there in social media, which is a very public space? A scarcity mindset, a great example of that is kind of inviting people to book at a lower price point, or hey, I'm on sale. I'm running a sale on my collections. Like, please don't do that. It's not only going to like, I don't know, it's just not, for lack of a better word, it's just not a good look. Those honestly, I will discount our prices based on like the very first wedding we shot this year. We got the inquiry for that one a month out. We were still in off season. We hadn't shot a wedding in 4 months. The pricing that I gave them was 12,000. The planner came back and was like, "Hey, what can you do for like 8,500 and we'll take care of travel for you. So you don't have to like do travel on top of that." So I basically curated a collection for what coverage and deliverables I could give them for 8,500. And it was a done deal. We don't always shoot weddings for 8,500, but in an off season when I haven't been shooting a wedding for 4 months, but I wasn't on social media and saying like, "Hey, off season pricing, like slash price, I've slashed my prices," type of thing. It was, it was a, it was a mindful step that we made for our family, going into this season that feels light already and coming off of a lull of an off season too. So it's always okay to do what you need to do for your family, especially the filmmakers that are listening where this is their sole income, like mine and Paul's is. We're all coming at it from, different backgrounds and, the way that our livelihoods look. But yeah, it's just don't say it publicly. There's nothing more that like puts you in a budget box than having sales on that or anything like that. So just try to exude that mindset of abundance in only posting things that reflect your business in an abundance way rather than the scarcity of like it makes you look kind of scared. Like, I need to fill my calendar. Like, things are scarce for me. I need to like slash my prices. So please don't do that. Please don't.
Yeah, desperation like is not a great a great thing for anyone to like perceive of you, because you may not feel desperate, but that will be the perception that is placed upon you by sharing things like that. And I will say, like, maybe now's the time to get like a little scrappy. Like, maybe like, well, we all know that like 2021 and 2022 were like pretty crazy coming out of COVID. Like, it was a lot of weddings. There's a lot of volume happening. And I mean, it's gonna come back. Like, the pendulum always swings back, But like, maybe now's the time to like do something that you don't plan to continue doing once it gets busy again, but like just for the time being, whether that be like offering so this episode won't go live for another few weeks, but we're recording this right after talking to Kelley LaFleur, who does wedding content creation. You know what I mean? Stepping outside of like your typical box of what you usually provide or like services you offer, and getting a little scrappy that way. Like, do you want to offer like behind the scenes to photographers or planners? Do you want to do family films? Do you want to, you know what I mean? There's like so many ways you can kind of like get scrappy and like offer things that you maybe are not wanting to pursue like for forever. And that's totally fine too. And finally, like, I want to come at this from like a very like realist way. Like, there's no shame in getting like a side job at like Starbucks, like if you have to. You know what I mean? Like, if you only have 6 weddings this year or 8 weddings this year, and I mean, realistically, how many hours a week is that going to take like to edit? Like, that's not a full-time like quantity of hours. And like, you can go work at Starbucks for $15 an hour, like for 20 hours a week. And that would be like a great way to like supplement your income. So I just want to say, like, it's okay to be creative. There's no shame in it. Like, yes, it's a bad year, or maybe not bad. It's a slow year, and it's okay to take pivots that maybe were not in like your grand plans, like your 10-year plan. And that's okay. Like, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Kind of what you were talking about, Taylor, the ripple effect. I feel like I would rather see people go and find a side hustle of some kind rather than devalue themselves in lowering their prices, because
Mm-hmm.
that's just going to set you up for a lower starting price for next year and the following year and the following year. And honestly, if you kind of get into that mindset of like, okay, I'm going to make a big jump, I'm going to raise my prices. Oh, it was too scary, I'm going to go back to where I was. Like, you're only setting yourself up for like not reaching that level of success. I kind of think of it as like I used to like before I had kids, I used to like run half marathons, and I ran one marathon. And in my head, I knew that if I let myself walk it while I was running, that it would just open up more opportunities for me to get inside my head and tell myself that I was tired and I needed to walk. And it only made for like more walking breaks and less, you know, training moving forward. Like, the projection of my training was going to be dwindled slowly and slowly because of just those really small things of like, oh, I got to walk and take a break. And so it's kind of that same thing if you think about it, where you have raised your prices. So you're on that run, right? You're embarking on that jog, and then you're like, oh man, this is really hard. I need to take my prices down. That's like, okay, now I need to take a break and walk. And
Well,
then
the
you're not going
the
to get to
problem
your
that comes,
destination.
it's a habit. It becomes a habit, a really bad habit.
Yes. Yes, it's a bad habit. I guess that's where I was going. Yeah, a bad habit. And if you think about when you're on a run, you're going from point A to point B and you're trying to reach that finish line, like how much longer is it going to take you if you're taking those walking breaks rather than just like getting through those hard times when you feel like you need to walk, you're just pushing through mentally. And yeah, so I would much rather see people take on a little bit of a side hustle. Maybe you take on editing, some
Mm-hmm.
post-production editing for some friends that need some help there. But yeah, cutting your prices back, I think it can become a bad habit. You raise it $500. Oh man, I need to raise it down $500. Okay, now I'll try it out again. I don't know. I haven't booked anything in a month. Okay, I'm going to put it back down. Like, yeah.
It's like this yo-yo effect. I love reading, and I love like personal development books. Like I love that genre. And there's a book that like I want to say like in 2020, like it was like a cult following, and it's Atomic Habits by James Clear. It is just like such a great book. And this is what it talks about. It talks about like your life, and in our case, like your business is made up of all the tiny little choices that you make over and over and over again. And in order to see like a big shift or growth, like you really have to make all these little things a habit. And we really don't want you guys to make a habit of like using fear to make decisions in your business. Like, unless, I mean, all of this is with a grain of salt, because like it's like people's livelihoods, and I totally get it. But like we said, like there's other ways to like go around it to like not stall the growth of your business. Because like, let's be real, like this podcast is like a luxury wedding creative podcast. Like, we're filmmakers, we're mostly talking to filmmakers. We do have a lot of planners and photographers who listen too. Hello, thank you for listening. But like, we're not necessarily talking to like people in the mainstream market. Like, that's not our audience. Like, we're really talking to people who are like, they know their businesses are like made for more. They really want to pursue this like really high level thing. And so that's like where our messaging is also coming from. So I just kind of want to give that like disclaimer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, even if 2023 isn't looking the way that you were hoping for, the goals that you've set for yourself, Taylor, you had a goal of 15 weddings, you're at 8. I mean, you may still hit it. You'll just have a really crazy fall.
I kind of hope I don't hit it now, because that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's really hard to like cram those all in. You're shooting like 8 weddings in October. Just kidding.
Oh, no.
Um, but you know what? Like, it's okay. Like, it's year after year. This is our 13th year. Every year ends up good at the end. We look back and we look at if you're looking at like numbers, Paul's always running the numbers, and he's always saying like how much we've made at the end of the year. And I'm always like, wow. And I had so many moments where I'm like, we're not going to reach our quarterly goal. We're not going to reach our yearly goal. And somehow it always comes together. And again, like, so many people that I've talked to, 2024 is looking amazing for them. So
Mm-hmm.
sights on 2024, using 2023 to continue building, networking, branding, pour into those elements where you may not always have the time. And 2024 and beyond, I truly believe is going to be an incredible few years for especially our listeners here that are on this path to the luxury market. I'm really excited for all of you guys.
Yep. And that brings us to our Luxury Insider Tip of the Day, brought to you by Wedding Post House, which is a filmmaking post-production company that does all of the culling and multicam syncing for you. It's available on Final Cut. I'm on Final Cut. Kelley, you are Premiere, and they also do DaVinci Resolve. So pretty much everyone is covered by this umbrella of Wedding Post House. And Kelley, you have some firsthand experience. I haven't even filmed a wedding yet, so I have not had the chance to use Wedding Post House, but you have. Can you talk a little bit about your experience?
Yes, I was blown away. Just as a busy mom myself, and we are on commercial shoots during the week too. Pulling that, syncing portion of starting the project and the culling, it has been single-handedly the best thing that's happened in my business so far this year when it comes to the post-production process. And being an artist and a little bit of a control freak myself, I still want a hand in the building of the story and, exactly the placement of the shots. And so Wedding Post House has really been the answer that I've been looking for. And I highly recommend filmmakers who are listening, if you have not looked into Wedding Post House, give them a try. They are incredible. You are going to be blown away with how much this is going to save the time in your business. And we have a special code for all of you listeners in all lowercase, level up 10 to get a discount on your next project. So that brings us to our Luxury Insider Tip of the Day, which is always arrive to your wedding 30 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes before your contracted start time. This has single-handedly changed Paul and I's workflow on a wedding day. It gives us an opportunity to network a little bit more with that planner. We have some time to get our bearings, maybe fly our drone, place our gear in areas that allow for smoother transitions. I know that it can feel hard to carve out this time that is unpaid, maybe when you're not making, as much money as you would like. But I'm always so big on embodying the business that you want to have and being able to take some time out to grab that key drone shot that's going to really make a big impact, or give a better client experience among the guests because you guys have a light footprint in where your gear is stored and everything. It just makes such a big difference. And so being able to arrive a little bit earlier, take some time, take that time for yourself. Look at it not as time wasted, but an investment back into your business. So that is my Luxury Insider tip.
So I hope that this episode was an encouragement to you listening. We're really all in the same boat, and we just want to open up the doors to these honest conversations and get people talking so that nobody feels alone in this, because we truly are all struggling with the same things this year. Whether you're a photographer, planner, florist, or a videographer, we're literally all being affected by this, and it's okay to make some changes in your business that you did not foresee being the reality.
Yeah, and also jump into our Facebook group. This was a question that was written in within our Facebook group. And honestly, I was so happy to see the positive and encouraging comments that followed back to Miranda's comment. You never know, maybe your Facebook post within our group will become a future episode too. So just know that we are always here for you, always cheering for you. And we know that this year is going to be a great year and the years to come.
Thank you for joining us in this conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more filmmakers just like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it on social media. Don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.